One of the most common questions that I have gotten as in Black Menaces is why us as heterosexual, cis, Black individuals have been so outspoken and vocal about the queer community. And I think this, has endless explanations, but I think there's a few that I want to talk about for real. The first one is that in the United States right now, and especially where we went to school at Brigham Young University, the queer community was at a heightened state of vulnerability. Being at BYU, where the large majority of classmates and professors and everybody there believed that to be queer was to be sinful, right? And for me and for the rest of the Black Menaces, this was something that was distasteful to us and discriminatory, obviously, because we didn't share that belief. And so as we, went to BYU, as we went to our classes, as we went to religion classes, as 3 out of the 5 of us went on missions, we understood the reality that to be queer at BYU was to be in such a state of marginalization that it was just not okay with us. And because we did understand the state of marginalization as Black individuals, we felt like it's part of our responsibility to be vocal and support other marginalized communities. That's the whole basis of Black Menaces. And when Black Menaces started blowing up, we realized the opportunity that we had to speak in support of other marginalized communities, specifically the queer community. And so we made videos because we realized just maybe if we could bring awareness and talk about this real issue that faced countless people at our school, maybe, just maybe, the surrounding community, the classmates, the professors, those who you see on the side of the street might just feel differently. And if that didn't happen, maybe outside pressure could change the way the school interacted with our queer friends, classmates. And that's something that we believed could happen. And truly, in the last 2 years, looking back, I believe that the videos that we have done in support of the queer community have helped. There's so many great orgs at BYU and surrounding BYU that have done an amazing job, and we've been able to partner with them and work with them to promote, equality and equity as much as possible, as much as we could. The second big reason that we're so vocal about the queer community is because I have this belief that sometimes people can only change when they hear somebody just like them voice an opinion. I think some cis heterosexual people will only hear, because of their biases, cis heterosexual people. The same idea is that some white people will only realize their subconscious biases of racism when a white person tells them, yo, what you're saying is problematic, it's discriminatory, it's racist. Because if you have a bias against a group of people, you're less than likely to hear them when they start talking to you, and especially if they call you out. And so if you need somebody of your community to talk and speak out on something for somebody to hear, we were more than happy to be a voice. And one thing we were cognizant of, and this is something I'll talk about in another video, is that we never took place of queer activists and queer people in the front line, but that we were there to empower the queer community in every way possible, so that we weren't taking place, but giving space. And I think that's important. First off, I don't know why it rhymes. Sorry, that threw me off, but it's funny. Anyways, and so because I think sometimes you need somebody that looks like you, sounds like you, is from where you're from, to speak out against something for the promotion and for the progress of a specific community, we felt like it was necessary for us to do so. The last reason, and I talk about this a lot when I do panels, when we travel to different universities, when we do a lot of things, is I believe that everybody has a duty, and that duty comes with the level of the duty comes with the level of influence that somebody has. I think if you have a higher level of influence, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to speak on things that are important. I think it is a misuse of a platform to largely ignore realities that face communities because you don't want to, be in a political space, because you don't want to upset people. But the reality is like that's what has created such a passiveness and apathetic attitude towards progress and towards equality and towards different communities who are marginalized in this society. So to me, it was Black Menaces' duty and responsibility to speak out in support of the queer community. And it's not something that I regret at all. Honestly, I think it was one of the most beneficial things, and it's allowed me to grow, it's allowed me to progress, and I think as an ally, the more we work in allyship, I think the greater the allyship that we have becomes, if that makes sense. The more you dive into helping queer people, the more you understand queer people, queer issues, queer attitudes. The more you dive into helping Black and brown folks, the more you understand Black and brown folks, their ideas, their environment, how they came up. Like, these things are integral to these groups and these communities, but you never will understand unless you put yourself right there next to them. Until you're hand in hand, you can't understand what it's like for other people. And you'll never understand fully, but you can get a bigger understanding, a bigger idea of what it's like. And so, all in all, we have to represent, and it was one of the greatest things that I think we ever did.